Hi, friends. I want to share with you a concept called Fed is Best. It was originally a concept that was introduced to support folks who were not interested in or able to breastfeed infants, but it's something that can be really helpful when applied to a wide variety of folks, including folks who, for nervous system reasons, have a hard time with appetite and digestion, or for sensory reasons have a hard time eating, or for eating disorder reasons have um, difficulty with like certain foods being associated as good or bad. So I found a really nice article on this. I will put it in the description, and I'm just going to have us glance at it together. 1 second. Okay. So if you're just interested in reading the article, you can just go to the description and read it there. The coloring's a little tricky. It's just acknowledging that Fed is Best can be great for people with ARFID or feeding differences. ARFID is an acronym for Avoidant Restrictive Food Intake Disorder, and it's something that um, fairly common for neurodivergent folks. But really, for anyone with feeding differences, like I mentioned, for a large variety of reasons, it can be tough to live in our society, which so like emphasizes food being like good or bad, or what we should or shouldn't be eating. And um, Eating is like not always related to hunger for folks who are neurodivergent, especially and including those with ARFID, right? So the idea of like just take a bite or you'll eat when you're hungry doesn't work for folks like that. It could be sensory processing differences, anxiety, past trauma, or interoceptive differences, which is that ability to hear those internal body single signals like hunger and fullness. All of that can make eating really overwhelming, and even though like encouraging a balanced diet or healthy foods may feel like a positive in like well-meaning advice, she says, it can increase stress and lead to further restriction, especially for folks that have any kind of PDA going on. So the goal really overall for all humans is that we can get some calories in. I like the phrase consistent calories, um, that in a way that feels safe and manageable for us. And Even though we live in a reality where there's a lot of foods that are put in the like good or healthy or bad or unhealthy category, for example, words like junk food or words like, um, you know, unhealthy or healthy, there's big moral judgment there, right? But for humans, we basically need, and animals in general, we basically need consistent calories for continued brain function, and to not have our nervous system put us into like starvation mode where we start shutting down major like bodily functions, like organ function and stuff. So, of course, if we could have a like more nutrition, that's great. But if you're not, consistent calories will keep you from having your blood sugar drop, and it'll keep your brain going. So I like the examples they give. A child who will only eat plain pasta and crackers is still receiving carbohydrates and calories. A teenager who depends on protein nutrition shakes and a limited selections of packaged foods is still getting vital nutrients that help their body grow and function. A neurodivergent adult who relies on a predictable set of safe foods is doing what they need to in order to meet their nervous system and nutritional needs. These are not failures, they're valid ways of eating. And that's something that I really celebrate, and a way that I live myself after. Growing up, I would have been put in the category of ARFID. I really only ate one or two safe foods. And then, that was interpreted later on as eating disorder. And then I was doing a lot of like forcing myself to eat things in the earlier part of my adulthood. And I would often get like hives and stuff in my mouth from it because my nervous system was just like, I still get that if I try to eat something new. So I have found that consistent calories without any rules is the best place for me. And I really love to offer that to other people. And I had a really beautiful experience when I was pregnant because I even more so, I couldn't eat anything without throwing up. And my midwife said it does not matter at all what you eat, just eat something. And that was a real breakthrough for me because it turned out that the only calories that I could keep down were Sprite, the soda, uh, Sour Patch Kids, and Lifesavers peppermints. So for 9 months, I ate Sour Patch Kids and Sprite and peppermints. And my kid is now 5'11" and 14 years old. And and so, we do what we can, and our bodies are really uh we can trust them. Yeah, they're trustworthy. So this is just a paragraph that re-emphasizes that like pressure in this type of a scenario is not going to be helpful, right? It's probably going to backfire. And if we do like, ABA type strategies of like rewarding and punishing or creating urgency, this can just create so much more resistance. So a neuro-affirming approach is safety, autonomy, and trust. And that's really where we see growth. And it takes time. So a lot of patience is needed here. And again, I love this point about rather than focusing on what's missing, we can celebrate what is being eaten and allow for room for folks to explore as they feel ready. Um, and I love this last bit about when we focus on fed is best, rather than all these other messages that we've been given, we get to celebrate when someone is eating rather than just focusing on how many varieties food they're eating. I spent a month when I was 15 in Costa Rica, and every single day we had just one bowl of half black beans and half white rice. That's all we ate. Sometimes there would be like a little bit of coleslaw on the side. Sometimes there would be like a few plantains. Every once in a blue moon, there would be like a little bit of tuna fish. But it was black beans and white rice for a month. Sometimes we would have fruit. But mostly black beans and white rice. And I imagine that has been happening in that community for uh, thousands of years, possibly. So some of our like ideas about food are from like not necessarily historically informed. Um, so yeah, then at the end of this, just inviting clinicians, caregivers, and loved ones to let go of rigid ideas about what eating should look like and focus on what's working for the individual, so that we can make room for trust around eating rather than fear. So I'll put the link in the description, like I mentioned, and fed is best. Whatever you're eating, I celebrate what you're eating. I'm grateful for growing awareness and conversation around this, and I'm sending you so much love.